Welcome home. You're back quite early today. Well, yeah, I bought sushi for all of us to eat. I was surprised just by getting a reply from my husband, who had been ignoring me for over a month. On top of that, he was holding high-quality sushi. Something seemed suspicious. I became more suspicious and secretly swapped my sushi with my mother-in-law's. Oh my, it looks delicious. Let's dig in right away. Come on, eat up. To my surprise, even my mother-in-law started talking to me. There must be something going on. Convinced of this, I pretended to go to the kitchen to make tea, encouraging them to start eating first. Then from behind the door, I watched their reactions. And then, my mother-in-law who ate the sushi started shivering and coughing. Unbelievable words were uttered by them. My name is Susan, 29 years old. I got married to Ryan, whom I met through my father's introduction half a year ago. I grew up with my strict father who hates dishonesty and my gentle yet strong-willed mother. I am, to put it nicely, a serious person, or, to put it badly, someone who can't adjust to the people around me. I have few friends. Even after becoming an adult, I had no romantic experiences. My worried father introduced me to Ryan, who worked at the company where my father was a department head. My father seemed to have high expectations for Ryan. Ryan's first impression was serious and friendly. He listened intently to my father's stories, and also engaged me in conversation, making the atmosphere pleasant. Apparently, Ryan had a good reputation at the company. He was trusted by his superiors and got along well with his colleagues because of his friendly nature. At a drinking party, when my father mentioned he had a daughter, Ryan asked to be introduced, and my father was more than happy to oblige. My father seemed a bit excited, thinking that spring had finally come for his daughter in her late 20s. It was the first time I saw my usually serious and strict father so excited. He must have been worried about my future. I wanted to live up to my father's expectations. I had never met a man who talked to me at my own pace like Ryan. As we talked, I became more and more attracted to him, and after a few dinners together, we started dating. During our relationship, I visited Ryan's family home and met his mother several times. She, like Ryan, was friendly and considerate of my nervousness. I thought, if I could marry into this family. And just when I was thinking that, Ryan proposed and we got married. I was so happy at that time, but half a year after our marriage, I couldn't help but regret it. The topic of living together came up as soon as we got married. My mother-in-law, who lost her husband, seemed to be lonely and appealed to Ryan. At the time, I didn't doubt my mother-in-law and accepted the idea of living together immediately. However, this was the beginning of it all. As soon as we got married, my mother-in-law's attitude changed completely. It was as if her previous behavior was a lie, and she began to see me as an enemy. Susan, why can't you do anything right? Dinner is late and there's so much food. There's no way we can eat all this. Please, think a little. But yesterday you told me to make more dishes. I tried my best to make them for you. What, are you saying it's my fault? No, I didn't mean that. Anyway, dinner time is at 6 p.m. Please be punctual from now on. You can't even prepare a proper meal. I never thought that someone like you would become my daughter-in-law. This kind of thing happens almost every day. My mother-in-law's demands change constantly, and even if I try to meet them, she complains about something else. It was the same this time. After finishing work and rushing home, I finished preparing dinner at 6 p.m., but my mother-in-law didn't show up at the table until nearly 7 p.m. She complained that the food was cold and that I wasn't considerate enough. Ryan usually comes home late due to overtime and social gatherings. As a result, especially on weekday evenings, I had to endure more attacks from my mother-in-law. In front of Ryan, my mother-in-law would act a little more restrained. However, that doesn't mean she stopped scolding me, and sometimes Ryan would defend me when he saw her behavior. But that was only at first. Gradually, maybe he got tired of it, and one day Ryan said this to me: "Please try to adapt to my mom." I was speechless at his words. How much more do you want me to do? I held back the urge to yell out. I want to adapt to your mother too, but her demands keep changing. Even if I try to adapt, I can't. Just be flexible. You're an adult. You should be able to handle that much. Ryan coldly dismissed me with those words. The friendly and serious Ryan I knew when we first met was nowhere to be found. The situation was getting worse and worse. Ryan started to side with his mother blatantly. He agreed with her complaints and laughed at me. His mother, on the other hand, directed a triumphant smile at me because her son was on her side. My mother-in-law and Ryan treated me like a maid. On weekends, they would go out together, leaving me with the housework, or they would go out to eat together even though I had prepared dinner. There were also times when Ryan brought home takeout just for him and his mother. The only reason I didn't leave their house was that I didn't want to worry my parents. My parents were delighted when I started dating Ryan. At our wedding, my usually serious father cried. I didn't want to disappoint my parents, who had such high hopes for our marriage, and sent me off with their blessings. Besides, if something happened between Ryan and me, it would affect my father's reputation. So even though my mother-in-law mistreated me and my husband didn't stand by me, I decided I had to endure it and keep going. My only comfort was my pet cat, John. When I said I wanted to bring John, who I had bought before getting married, my mother-in-law didn't like the idea, but I insisted. Now I'm really glad I brought him. After getting married, John comforted me countless times. Somehow, I managed to get through each day until one day, it started suddenly. My mother-in-law and husband started to ignore me. I was puzzled by the sudden change with no warning or reason. No matter how much I tried to talk, I was ignored. Asking for a reason or trying to compromise was all in vain. Even when I tried to talk or did housework, I continued to be ignored. Then, 1 month later, Ryan, who usually comes home around 7 p.m. at the earliest, came home unusually early at around 6 p.m. that day. As I thought I would be ignored, I called out to him. "Welcome home. You're back quite early today." "Well, yeah, I bought sushi for all of us to eat." I was surprised just by getting a reply from my husband, who had been ignoring me for over a month. On top of that, he was holding high-quality sushi. Something seemed suspicious. Before I could feel happy about him finally speaking to me and buying sushi, I wondered, what on earth is he up to? As I found my husband's behavior strange. Moreover, Ryan placed my share of the sushi on the table first. For the past few months, there hasn't been a single time when my husband prioritized me over his mother. This is definitely suspicious. As my distrust grew, I secretly swapped my sushi with my mother-in-law's. "Oh my, this looks delicious. Let's dig in. Come on, Susan, eat up quickly." Surprisingly, even my mother-in-law started talking to me. There must be something going on. Convinced of this, I encouraged them to start eating first. "I'll go make some tea. You both go ahead and start eating." "Oh, I feel bad, but you're right. Hot tea is perfect with sushi. We'll start eating, so come back quickly." Pretending to head to the kitchen, I watched them from behind the door. After whispering to each other, my husband and mother-in-law began eating sushi. Then, suddenly, my mother-in-law started shaking and coughing violently. "Water!" Her eyes filled with tears as she struggled to speak. Ryan frantically patted her back. She shot him a sharp look. "You! What's going on? Why is there so much wasabi in my sushi? I told you to be careful not to make a mistake. What is this?" I put down Susan's sushi first. There's no way I made a mistake. But I can't eat this. I wanted to see Susan suffer from eating sushi with wasabi. But now the plan is ruined because of your mistake. What are we going to do?" I couldn't stay silent after hearing their conversation. "What on earth is going on here? A lot of wasabi? Did you try to make me suffer?" Both of them had a "we're busted" look on their faces. However, my mother-in-law quickly changed her expression and sneered. "That's right. We ignored you for a whole month, but you seemed just fine. So, we thought we'd tease you a little." "That's terrible." "What's terrible? You should be grateful just as a useless daughter-in-law to stay in the house." Even as my mother-in-law yelled at me, my husband didn't try to stop her. I couldn't take it anymore. I finally let out the words I'd been holding back. "I'm going back to my parents' house." I gathered my essential belongings and put John into a pet carrier. As I walked to the door with my bags, Ryan finally tried to stop me. "Come on, you're joking, right? This is too much just for a little joke." His unapologetic words only strengthened my resolve. Without a word, and without looking at Ryan's face, I left his parents' house. My mother welcomed me back home. At first, she looked surprised to see me return so suddenly, but she quickly let me in. "If you don't want to talk about it, you don't have to, but if you're okay with it, I'm here to listen." I told her everything that had happened since getting married, how my mother-in-law bullied me, how my husband gradually took her side, and how I was treated like a maid. I also told her about a month of being ignored and almost being forced to eat sushi with a huge amount of wasabi. I told her everything, and I apologized for causing trouble after she had happily sent me off to get married. "I'm sorry, Mom, but I just couldn't take it anymore." "It's okay, dear. Your father and I just want you to be happy. We don't want you to be with Ryan if it's causing you so much pain. You've been strong for so long." At my mother's words, the tears I had been holding back began to overflow. My father came home from work and after hearing the situation from my mother, bowed his head to me. "I'm so sorry. It's all because I introduced you to Ryan. I had no idea he was like this." With a pained look on his face, my father made me feel even worse. Then a call came in. It was from Ryan. The phone rang for a while, but I didn't answer it at all. I kept staring at the screen, waiting for the call to end, and finally, it stopped ringing. That's when I noticed a notification from an app. It was the pet monitor app I had installed for John. I had set it to send me a reminder at this time to make sure I didn't forget to refill John's water before going to bed. Curious, I opened the app and pressed the button for live streaming. There, my mother-in-law and husband appeared on screen. What should we do? Susan isn't answering the phone. It's fine, she'll come back eventually. Anyway, what should we do to her next? Ha ha ha. What if she says she wants a divorce? I'll lose my position as the boss's son-in-law. I was able to pass work off to my subordinates because of my position as my boss's son-in-law. I can't afford to lose that now. Boss's son-in-law. Hearing that, I couldn't hold back my anger any longer. My father, who was next to me, felt the same way. He quietly stared at the screen with a look of disbelief, his hands trembling. I immediately sent a message saying, "Let's get a divorce." Several calls came in right after, but I ignored them and went to sleep. That Saturday morning, the doorbell rang early. Oh my, who could it be this early in the morning? I heard my father's voice from the entrance. Following her voice, I heard the voice that had been irritating me. Please let me talk to Susan. She's misunderstanding a lot of things. It was Ryan. Since I didn't answer his calls, he came all the way to my house. Not wanting to cause my mother any more trouble, I went to the front door. I sent a sharp glare at my husband and spoke coldly. What do you want? Susan, why didn't you answer the phone? I was worried about you. Worried? You teamed up with your mother to make fun of me, ignored me for a month, and then tried to make me eat sushi with a huge amount of wasabi? That was... At my accusation, Ryan was at a loss for words. I started to close the front door on him. I'll bring the divorce papers as soon as they're ready. I have nothing more to say to you, so please leave now. Wait, are you serious? You've never been in a relationship with anyone else, right? If we get divorced, you'll never be able to marry again. Are you okay with being alone for the rest of your life? Ryan's words only fueled my anger. I played the recording of the pet monitor footage I had saved last night. My husband, Ryan, was clearly upset after seeing the video. I said to him, "You don't want to divorce just to protect your own position, right? You don't even think of me as your wife. I'd rather be single than be with someone who doesn't care about me and abuses their power to oppress others." I showed a determined attitude. My mother nodded firmly at me, and then I heard my father's voice from behind. "She's right, Ryan. After seeing that video with my daughter, I asked around at the company. It seems you were using your position as my son-in-law to not only push work onto your subordinates, but also make them do unnecessary chores, acting like a king. I guess I still have a lot to learn about judging people." "Please wait, father-in-law. This is not what it looks like. It's my mother. Yes, it's all my mother's orders. She told me to harass Susan and use my position as your son-in-law to push work onto others." So you really were pushing work onto others? I was not only angry, but also appalled that Ryan was trying to blame his mother for everything and exposing his own wrongdoings. Ryan looked at me with pleading eyes, but I exaggeratedly turned my head away. At that moment, I heard another annoying voice. "Ryan, I came to help you." It seemed that my mother-in-law had come to help Ryan, but by that time, Ryan had already betrayed his mother. He pointed at her and said, "It's all her doing." My mother-in-law looked confused. "What do you mean, Ryan? I came here to be on your side. Are you trying to make me the bad guy?" "You are the bad guy. It's all your fault, Mom. If you hadn't harassed Susan, none of this would have happened. We wouldn't be talking about divorce, and I wouldn't be worried about losing my position. Don't blame me. It's all your fault for trying to get rid of me." Both of them kept blaming each other, and my father, my mother, and I had no choice but to watch in astonishment. Their argument didn't seem to end anytime soon. My father, tired of it all, sighed and spoke up. "You two can argue about this at home. I'm disappointed to find out that you, Ryan, are such a despicable person. There was talk of promoting you, but I'm going to cancel that." "What?" Ryan looked at my father with desperate eyes, but my father didn't change his attitude. And then, our divorce was officially decided on the spot. We printed the divorce papers at home and signed them right away. Ryan's misdeeds at work and his divorce from me, the boss's daughter, became well known, and he felt so uncomfortable that he offered to resign. He's been trying to find a new job, but the rumors have spread to other companies in the same industry, and he hasn't been hired. He's trying to switch to a different industry, but it's not going well. After fighting with his mother over this incident, Ryan left his parents' home and started living alone. But he has no money and is living in a shabby apartment. He's doing day labor jobs to get by, barely making it through each day. His mother, who used to dote on him, is now living alone and feeling lonely. The neighbors found out about her mistreatment of her daughter-in-law, and she's living a life without conversation, receiving cold stares. I'm living with my parents again, just the three of us. Now that the burden from my ex-mother-in-law and Ryan is gone, I can focus on my work better than ever before, and I've been given bigger responsibilities. 1 year after the divorce, I see signs of a new spring coming in my life. The person is a junior colleague with whom I successfully completed a project. Since joining the company, we've worked together many times and built a trusting relationship. Until recently, we only talked about work, but lately, I've been invited to meals, and the other day, he asked me out. This time, I want to build a happy family, and I believe that with him, my wish will come true.
Sarah is my name. Tom, my husband, and I have been married for 2 years. I had hoped to start a family by now, but we have yet to be blessed with children. I enjoy my job and it gives me a sense of purpose in life, though, so I'm not in a hurry to have children, but it's different for Tom. Tom recently expressed his disappointment at me in not yet having children. How soon will you be expecting a child? Please, for God's sake, hurry up. My mother is excited about it. I went to the hospital, but nothing was wrong with me. If you insist, let's have you checked out as well. You're implying that I'm the reason you can't have children? It can't be my fault. How do you know? There are a lot of families whose men are the cause. There's no way I'm the reason for this problem. Don't bring it up again. Then, since neither of us is infertile, consider it a gift and let's take our time and wait a little longer. Why are you being so easy on yourself? My mother needs to see her grandchild as soon as possible. Tom is pressured by his mother every time he sees her. Is my grandchild here yet? He is still refusing to go to the hospital to be examined, which is causing problems. And for some reason, he's convinced he's not infertile. I was so concerned, I went for another checkup, but there was nothing specific that needed to be treated. Tom didn't seem to understand that we only have one chance to have a child each month, and kept asking me if we could have a child yet. I was tired of him asking me, "Are you ready for a baby yet?" Mom told me the same thing today. She said she wished she could see the face of her grandchildren as soon as possible. Again? Please hurry up. Mom is looking forward to it. There's no way to hurry up. Even when we're having a normal conversation, we always end up having the same conversation. And then we start fighting. We have had fewer and fewer conversations as a couple over time. Perhaps it was because we didn't talk much, but we had a lot of problems like this. Mom is on her way over. What? Right now? What does it matter? If she's coming, please let me know ahead of time so I can prepare. You're talking a lot. She has a message for you. Is it about kids again? This is enough for me. I don't mind. I'm not sure. That's what I'm told every time I see her. It's your fault we can't have children, so please, explain it to her. My mother-in-law entered the room as we were having this conversation. I'm sorry to have bothered you, and here you have it. My mother-in-law then came in and handed me something. What is this? You can see for yourself. They're a belly band and a lucky charm. What is the purpose of a belly band? It's critical to keep your stomach cool when trying to conceive, so make use of it. It's too hot to be wearing a fuzzy belly band in the summer. That's the wrong attitude to have. This room is too cold because of the air conditioning. It chills your stomach. Sorry. And how do you use this amulet? It's a lucky charm from a well-known temple for children. After praying there, I heard that a celebrity had a baby. It appeared to bring good luck, so I drove all the way there yesterday, despite the distance. You didn't have to go that far. Don't be so concerned, just because you're so laid back. I'm looking forward to seeing my grandchildren. As I previously said, I went to the hospital and it was not me. I explained it again to my mother-in-law, but no matter how many times I told her, she didn't get the message. Tom was sitting a good distance away from us, pretending as if it was none of his business. Why don't you get pregnant then? I'm not sure why you're asking. Why don't you try another hospital for another checkup? Why not seek treatment at a more specialized hospital? I'll see what I can do to find you a better one. You don't have to do that. I'm positive it's not Tom, so I can only think it's because of you. Tom has not yet been examined. How are you so certain he is not infertile? Because Tom, who was supposedly not listening, abruptly cut the conversation short. Mom, don't say unnecessary things, he advised. Sorry. My mother-in-law abruptly stopped speaking after that. I'm sure a package will be delivered by courier tomorrow, so please receive it. I just wanted to get this to you today, so I'm leaving. My mother-in-law then left me with only a belly wrap and a charm to protect the child. The following day, when the package arrived, I laughed. Inside were all the good luck charms I needed to have a child. Your mother sent a package to me. What was inside? Pomegranates, herring, roe, and peaches. What made her send those? All three are considered lucky foods and are said to bring good fortune to have children. I see. Mom must be desperate to see her grandchildren. I understand her emotions, but it's a bit much. Why are you talking that way about Mom? She is genuinely excited about the birth of her grandchild. Don't you think you're under pressure as well? Yes, but it's not my concern. It's none of my business. It has nothing to do with me. What do you mean it has nothing to do with you? It's between us because we're a couple. It's your fault you are unable to have children, so no, it is none of my business. It's all my fault that I can't get pregnant. But I've been to the hospital and they say nothing is wrong with me. So why don't you go to another hospital and get a thorough examination like my mom suggested? Why don't you ask her to help you find a good hospital? The hospital where I went was a well-known fertility clinic. Perhaps it's just well-known. It could be a charlatan. If you're going to say that, why don't we ask your mom to find one? Finally, you're willing to go through with it. Yes, if you will get checked out as well. Why should I go to the hospital? I couldn't figure out why Tom was so sure of himself. Then I was told something I didn't know before. I've never told you anything, but you've been suspecting me for a long time, and I'm tired of hiding it, so I will tell you. What is that? This is actually my second marriage. What? What exactly do you mean? I was so surprised that I sounded stupid in my reply. I divorced 2 years ago before I got married to you. How come you didn't tell me? Well, I got divorced because my partner cheated on me. She didn't ask for child support or anything, and so I didn't think it was necessary to tell you. Do you mean to imply that you have children? A son, yes. I've never seen him since he was born following the divorce. I'm confused. I can't follow what you said. That shows that I'm not incapable of having children. That's why you were so certain that you weren't? I'm offended that you believe it's because of me. But it's not impossible that you became infertile during the 2 years following your divorce. You still want to point the finger at others. You are the problem, so admit it and take action. I am not referring to admitting or not admitting. You're starting to irritate me. Thus, in my second year of marriage, I discovered for the first time that Tom was divorced and had a child. Even after hearing that story, I wasn't totally convinced that I was to blame for my inability to have children. I decided to learn more about Tom. I'll tell him I want a divorce after I finish my research. I couldn't stay with Tom any longer. I tried my hardest not to talk to Tom because he was always saying hurtful things to me. Of course, we would never have conjugal relations under such circumstances, so I could never get pregnant. My mother-in-law, who was unaware of the situation, continued to pressure me. Tom then approached me one day. He looked irritated. By now, I'm used to being treated with disdain. He opened his mouth. I am currently thinking about a divorce. I don't like spending time with you because we don't talk anymore and all we do is fight. And we can't have children no matter how long I wait. I was taken aback by his abrupt statement, but I responded calmly. What? That's fine. What? Tom was perplexed by my response for some reason. He must have expected me to say I don't want a divorce. Here are the divorce papers. I've already completed all of the required fields. What? Why is it already completed? I filled them out so that I could divorce you whenever I wanted. Do you want to get a divorce? Yes. I was only half kidding. I'm not looking for a joke. Do you really want a divorce? You said it yourself. I didn't expect it to end this way. Did you expect me to sob and say I didn't want a divorce? Yes. We don't talk much anymore, so I thought this would be a good time to talk things through and make amends. So why didn't you just say that from the beginning? I want things to return to how they were. That's impossible. I'll divorce you right now if that's what you want. That is something I do not want you to do. I'm not sure what you meant when you told me you wanted a divorce. Tom continued to complain, despite the fact that he had told me he wanted a divorce. Despite the futility of the situation, our discussions continued. Then my mother-in-law arrived in good timing. What's going on all of a sudden? I went out with some friends and brought you some souvenirs. Souvenirs? She presented me with another amulet. I went to a different childbirth shrine, so I brought you back a souvenir. I've been praying there, and I'm confident it will bring you good fortune this time. We don't need this anymore. My mother-in-law's face lit up at these words. She looked to have misinterpreted something. I had a feeling things were about to get complicated again. Well, whatever. Does this imply that you no longer require it? What? Finally, I suppose it's because of all my efforts. I'm so relieved. It is partly correct. We have to go again to pray our appreciation. My mother-in-law stood in front of me, a happy expression on her face. Tom stood next to me, his eyes downcast, saying nothing. I was anticipating how dissatisfied my mother-in-law would be with my next words. What exactly is it? Don't be so bold as to tell me what I think you're going to say. We've decided to divorce. What? Divorce? Yes. I assumed you were expecting a child. What do you mean that you're divorcing? We were just discussing it. Was this a sudden decision? Not at all. I've been considering it for quite some time. Are you going to flee because you can't have children? That is not the reason I am divorcing him. But that's okay. If you are incapable of getting pregnant, it's better for him to divorce you and marry a second woman. It will be a third marriage, not a second marriage. You knew that? I found out about it the other day. His ex-wife became pregnant shortly after they divorced. Okay. So I can only conclude that you were the culprit. If you leave, I will be relieved. I see. Tom has always been popular with the girls. He'll soon find a partner. Hopefully, our next meeting will result in a pregnancy. So if you've already made up your mind, get divorced as soon as possible. I'm leaving. You two discuss the rest. My mother-in-law then left. She walked away without knowing the truth. We carried on our conversation. Let's file the divorce papers right away so we can be divorced. I want to have children soon, and now I realize I dislike spending time with you. Let's go ahead and get divorced. Then quickly write it. I handed him the papers to complete his part. All I needed to do was turn them in. Tom, by the way, you will have to leave the house when we divorce. What? Why? I'm making mortgage payments. Have you forgotten? My parents paid off the loan and bought this house all at once. You were simply repaying my parents' loan. I was. So you're leaving because of this. I believe we had quite a bit of money saved up. I don't have any money saved up. But didn't you say you had approximately 10 million? That is the money I saved when I was single. As a result, it is not included in the property division. As a result, neither the house nor the money will be mine. That's correct. Well, it doesn't matter. You're taking a new path. Yes. In addition, I'm going to sue you and your mother for emotional distress. What? Why? For so long, you've treated me like a defective human being, saying horrible things to me. It's the truth. Do you really believe I'm the reason I couldn't conceive? It's self-evident. I have a biological child. I told Tom, who had no idea what was going on, everything. It appears that your child from your ex-wife is not yours. What nonsense are you talking about? I was curious about Tom's partner after learning that his marriage to me was not his first, so I searched his house for clues. Soon after, I discovered a picture. Tom is the type of person who keeps old memories rather than discarding them, and I discovered a few memories in the back of a drawer in his work desk. I looked up her name on social media. Fortunately, I got a hit right away. I quickly discovered what kind of person Tom's ex-wife was. Isn't this your ex-wife? I showed him the screen from SNS. Tom looked surprised. It was no surprise. Is the child in this picture your child? Tom was perplexed. I went on with my story. This child clearly has a foreign face. I was looking at your ex-wife's SNS and her husband is from another country. I'm not familiar with him. It seems that they're living abroad. I divorced my ex-wife without much debate because she cheated on me. But before the divorce, she got pregnant and claimed it's our child. I'm pretty sure it was his child. Really. In any case, you have no biological children. Is it possible that I am the reason you are unable to have children? That, I believe, is most likely the case. I did go to another hospital and my body was fine. I'm also going to get checked out. Will you drop the divorce and go through treatment with me if I'm the reason you haven't been able to conceive? Why would I do that? I've already completed the divorce paperwork. I'll simply file them tomorrow. Don't say that. I still like you. You don't like being around me, do you? If you're so popular, you'll find someone new soon, as your mother predicted. Let's talk about it again. I'm going to file for divorce tomorrow, and I'd like you to pack your belongings and leave this week. Oh, no. Didn't you say you wanted a divorce? I'll consult with my attorney about alimony. You'll have a message later. I filed for divorce the next day. We had become strangers. Tom packed his belongings and reluctantly left the house to his parents' place. Tom seems not to have informed his mother that he may have been the reason he is unable to have children. His mother has been nagging him to remarry as soon as possible after the divorce because she wants to see her grandchildren. If he does marry again, I pity his next wife. His mother will undoubtedly put a lot of pressure on that next person for not being able to have children. Since my divorce, I've been working harder than ever at the job I like. I sold the house I shared with Tom. Fortunately, I was able to sell it for a high price, so I repaid my parents the money I had set aside, as well as the alimony I received from Tom and his mother. I'm living in an apartment. I am dating my coworker, who was originally a good friend of mine at work and was listening to me talk about my divorce. And now we're living together in an apartment. If I could marry this man, I hope that we would be blessed with children, and that I'll be happy next time.
It's been 5 days since our child was born. My husband appeared without any notice and shoved divorce papers in my face.
If you get too cocky just because you had a kid, I'll divorce you right away. You'd be in trouble if we divorced, right? There's no way you can raise a kid alone, huh?
Enraged, I snatched the divorce papers from him.
Huh? It's pointless to try and tear it up. You'll just be my slave anyway.
Ignoring my husband's sneering laugh, I signed the divorce papers and said, "Fine, let's get divorced."
Huh?
My name is Stella. I'm 32 years old. I met my older husband, Leonardo, at work, and we've been married for 4 years.
I'll work hard and earn money, so I want Stella to support me. When we have kids, I want Stella to stay at home.
Leonardo's parents both worked, so he felt lonely during his childhood. That's why he strongly hoped that I would become a stay-at-home mom so our child wouldn't feel the same way. I agreed with Leonardo's opinion and became a stay-at-home mom when we got married. Leonardo, who was over 30 when we got married, wanted to have children right away. I wanted time for just the two of us, but I also wanted children. I felt a little lonely, but I convinced myself to save our time as a couple for our old age. But even after 1 year, even after 2 years, no baby came to us. As I turned 30, I started to feel anxious. Leonardo became visibly irritated and started talking as if it was my fault.
Why can't you have a baby even though you're a stay-at-home mom? There are so many working women who get pregnant. You're in a privileged environment and still can't get pregnant. Who do you think you are?
It's not like I don't want to get pregnant, but he talks as if it's all my fault. Having a job or not has nothing to do with pregnancy. Leonardo talks as if it's all my fault. It seemed like he was venting his frustration by ordering me around.
You don't have any kids, and you're just lazing around at home, so you can at least do this. Don't be spoiled.
The household chores Leonardo demanded became more and more advanced. It felt like I was being treated like a maid. However, living far from my hometown, I didn't have any friends nearby. I barely went out, only to buy groceries. I wasn't working, so I hardly had any money to spend freely. I was living a suffocating life. It wasn't just Leonardo who cornered me. 2 years into our marriage, with no pregnancy announcement, his parents started to suspect something and contacted us. His parents asked, "Where's our grandchild?" My husband said, "It's your fault we don't have a baby." I had no one to talk to and had to endure the pressure alone. My life became darker and darker, but the endless days seemed to come to an end. Finally, I got pregnant. A clear positive line appears on the pregnancy test. Tears of joy well up in my eyes. At last, I finally become pregnant. I tried to contain my excitement and take a picture of the pregnancy test to send to Leonardo. Once he knows I'm pregnant, he should go back to being his old self. I send the photo with that hope, but there's no response from Leonardo. When he comes home late at night, he hands me his bag and jacket like always. Nothing seems different. Wait, did he not see the photo? Without saying a word, Leonardo sits on the sofa and starts watching TV. At dinner, he's still silent, so I decide to bring up the topic myself. Leonardo, I sent you a photo. Did you see it? I'm pregnant. Finally, a baby is coming to us. Holding back the tears that threaten to spill, I smile at Leonardo, but his gaze remains fixed on the TV. Finally, without changing his expression, Leonardo says, "Seems like it." Is that all? Why isn't he happy? Why doesn't he look pleased? I can't understand it at all. An indescribable feeling washes over me. Hey, this is our baby. Aren't you happy? You always said you wanted a child. You wished for it to happen soon, right? I seek agreement from Leonardo as if to dispel my anxiety. He should be happy, delighted, feeling the same as me. That's what I wanted to believe. But the words that came back from Leonardo easily betrayed my expectations.
Don't get all high and mighty just because you got pregnant, all right? Do you even realize how long you kept me waiting? Don't think I'll be kind just because you're pregnant. You're not working. I expect you to keep doing the housework, as you have been.
I never thought of slacking off on housework or expecting kindness. All I want is a single "I'm happy" from Leonardo. My tears of joy from just a moment ago have turned into tears of sadness. Without paying any attention to me, Leonardo heads to the bedroom without saying a word. Why couldn't he be happy for me? He said he wanted a child so badly. At the obstetrician's office, I found out I was pregnant with twins, but Leonardo doesn't show any sign of happiness. Maybe it doesn't feel real yet since my belly isn't getting big. I'm sure he'll gradually realize it as my belly grows. That's what I decided to believe. A few weeks pass and morning sickness starts, along with constant drowsiness. Even in this state, Leonardo doesn't show concern for my health or help with housework. During a checkup, I'm faced with a shocking truth.
You're at risk for a miscarriage. Please try to rest as much as possible.
Hearing the word miscarriage makes everything go dark. But knowing there's still a chance for the babies, I take a deep breath. The doctor's instruction is bed rest at home. I need Leonardo's help. I contact him right away, but just like when I told him about the pregnancy, there's no response. I tell Leonardo about the checkup when he gets home, but his attitude doesn't change. After struggling for a few days, I decide to go back to my parents' house early. That night, Leonardo throws these words at me.
Don't laze around too much at your parents and gain weight, okay? And remember, you're taking care of the house when you get back. Be careful not to slack off too much.
On the day I go back home, even though we won't see each other for a while, Leonardo leaves the house in the morning. With my parents' help, I get through my time at home, and after several checkups, I'm told there's no more concern. That's the only saving grace. When I contact Leonardo to tell him about the checkup, he picks up the phone and tells me in an annoyed voice,
"Oh, that's good. Well, bye."
Just before he hangs up, I hear a woman's voice on the other end of the phone. "Leonardo, who are you talking to?" It didn't sound like a misunderstanding. The person on the other end was clearly calling Leonardo's name. I had a feeling that Leonardo didn't love me anymore. I didn't want to admit it, but after hearing that woman's voice, I couldn't deny it any longer. Now, Leonardo's cold attitude makes sense. As I rubbed my growing belly, I made a decision. I'll divorce him and raise these twins by myself. Having been cooped up at home for about 2 months, I decided to go for a walk. It was a warm, sunny day, and the fresh green leaves were dazzling. Just then, I was suddenly called from behind. It was my childhood friend, Jameson, who had called out to me. We hadn't seen each other in years, and he happily invited me for tea. After reminiscing about old times, we shared updates on our lives. Jameson had become a lawyer and had just opened a small office. Hearing his profession, I had an idea.
Speaking of which, in cases of infidelity, you can claim compensation, right?
I accidentally let that slip, and Jameson's expression turned serious.
What's wrong? If you have any concerns, I'll listen.
Before I knew it, I was revealing my inner thoughts, which I couldn't tell anyone. The struggle to get pregnant, my husband's indifference, and even him enjoying time with his mistress. As I talked, I realized I was tearing up.
It must have been tough.
At Jameson's words, the tension inside me snapped. Even though I'm not young anymore, I broke down crying without caring about others' eyes.
Calm down. It's okay. I'll help you.
Jameson desperately comforted me.
First, let's gather evidence. You can't fight without proof of infidelity.
Evidence?
Anything. Just gather physical evidence.
But can I do it?
Should I introduce you to a private detective agency I'm acquainted with? They're experienced in gathering evidence for divorce cases, so it'll be fine.
Thank you. That would be helpful. After that, I followed Jameson's advice and hired a private detective to gather evidence of Leonardo's infidelity. According to the detective agency, Leonardo had been inviting his mistress to our home and practically living with her while I was away visiting my parents. The mistress was a third-year newcomer at the same company Leonardo and I worked at. Everyone at the company knew that Leonardo was married, as I used to work there too. It seemed that the mistress was having a relationship with him, knowing he was married, and their affair had been going on for 2 years. It was around the time Leonardo became frustrated that we couldn't have a child. He blamed me for not being able to have a child, treated me like a maid, and was indifferent even after I became pregnant. I had many worries because it was my first time, but he was cheating with another woman outside. Learning the truth, I trembled with anger. So this was why he didn't rejoice when I became pregnant. While I was suffering and in pain, he was enjoying himself. Just divorcing him wouldn't be enough. I will definitely make him pay. Determined, I had several meetings with Jameson, the lawyer, and devised a plan. Jameson was very supportive and constantly concerned about my condition. And right on my due date, I gave birth to healthy twins. Leonardo suddenly appeared on the 5th day after the birth when the pain from my wound had subsided.
Hey, long time no see. You got to stay in the hospital for 9 days, huh? What a luxury. It's not like you gave birth by yourself. You were slow to get pregnant, slacked off on housework when you went home, and then had a C-section? You're a failure as a woman.
To say such words to his wife, especially a wife who just gave birth, and he didn't even try to look at the children's faces. I didn't want to think that this man was the father of the twins. Barely containing my anger, Leonardo handed me a piece of paper. His signature was already on the divorce papers.
Don't get cocky just because you had kids, or it's instant divorce. You'd be in trouble if we got divorced, right? If you slack off on housework because you have kids, I won't forgive you.
My husband waved the divorce papers in front of me. My anger reached its peak, and I forcibly snatched the divorce papers from him.
Tearing it up is useless, you know. I can just get another one from the city office.
Ignoring Leonardo's sneering, I took a pen out of my bag.
Fine, let's get a divorce. I've been wanting to do it too. Huh?
I won't let him lay a finger on the children. I want him to disappear from this place as soon as possible. With those thoughts, I signed the divorce papers. Leonardo, sneering at me, reached out to grab the papers.
Do you even know what you're saying? What will you do with these kids if you divorce me? You can't raise them alone. Stop being stubborn. You should just be my slave for the rest of your life.
I've already told my parents that we're getting a divorce. From now on, I'll live with them. I don't need a man who cheats on me.
How long do you think that bravado will last? You can't make it without me. You'll regret it when it's too late.
That's when Jameson's voice was heard.
Excuse me, my name is Mr. Wood, and I'm Stella's lawyer. If you don't let go now, I'll call someone.
Surprised by the sudden appearance of the lawyer, Leonardo immediately let go of the papers.
Who are you? What do you mean, lawyer?
As if to hold Jameson back, my husband stepped forward and raised his voice. But Jameson was unfazed. He must have been through many similar situations before. Jameson calmly continued the conversation.
We already have evidence of your infidelity. If you don't agree to the divorce, we'll proceed with divorce mediation or a lawsuit. If you don't agree to pay compensation or negotiate, we'll also go to court. Wait a minute. I didn't agree to a divorce.
What is he talking about now, after bringing up the divorce himself? I can't stand this ridiculousness. While Jameson was persuading Leonardo, I handed the signed divorce papers to Jameson.
Mr. Wood, please take care of this.
Leonardo tried to take it back, but Jameson quickly put the papers in his bag.
I'll take care of it.
Jameson's face exuded an undeniable aura. Realizing that he couldn't defy the lawyer, Leonardo turned to me.
Hey, you're joking, right? We're not really getting a divorce, are we? You know you can't make a living without me, right? They're twins. Twins! It'll cost a lot of money. You'll be in trouble without me, right?
I gave Leonardo a cold stare. Feeling the intensity of my gaze, Leonardo was taken aback for a moment.
I can't believe you're the one who brought up divorce. And now you're saying this? We're still getting divorced, and I'm taking the alimony. You never planned on doing housework or childcare, right? I know that much. What do you mean, become a slave? Don't make a fool out of women.
I shouted angrily, leaving Leonardo stunned. I pressed on against him.
From now on, if you have anything to say, go through Mr. Wood. There's no point coming here. I'll ask everyone to keep you out. We have nothing more to discuss. So leave.
Hearing this, Leonardo's face turned red, and he raised his fist.
What? You?
But with Jameson's cough, he came to his senses and lowered his powerless fist.
That's how it is. So please leave.
Jameson's words seemed to make Leonardo give up, and he left the room with slumped shoulders. After that, I asked my parents to submit the divorce papers to the city office. The papers were accepted without issue, and I was finally, officially, divorced. Since that day, I had to change my cell phone because of nonstop calls and messages from Leonardo. Jameson, as a professional, did an excellent job handling the rest. I received proper alimony from Leonardo and his affair partner, so I wouldn't have trouble making ends meet for a while. A few months later, they both left their company. Their affair was exposed at work, and the woman resigned voluntarily. Leonardo was transferred to a rural area, but rumors followed him there, and he had no place to stay. After enduring reduced salary and people's stares, he continued to miss work without notice and was eventually fired for disciplinary reasons. On the other hand, I returned to my parents' house and struggled with childcare every day. It's tough with everything being new, but I'm managing thanks to my parents and Jameson. Actually, Jameson had apparently harbored feelings for me since long ago. He confessed, saying,
I don't mind if you have a child or a divorce history. Please, be with me?
He told me to answer when I was ready, but my feelings were already set. After that, I married Jameson. Now, he treats the twins as his own children. Neither my parents nor I can thank Jameson enough for his wholehearted support of our family. I can't express my gratitude enough. From now on, I want to build a happy home with Jameson, starting anew.
You know, dealing with poor people is such a waste of time. I'll only bother with you if I have time left over.
Laughed and made a shooing gesture, sending us away. Even I, who usually tries to be kind to others, had reached my breaking point. Then my son, who had been listening to the conversation, said to me loudly enough for Michael to hear,
I wonder if I withdraw the 1 billion yen I have deposited, can I shut this place down? Haha.
My name is Susan Parker, a 67-year-old housewife. Lately, my husband George and I have been enjoying leisurely afternoons at cafes. George is 2 years younger than me and has just recently retired.
I've been so focused on work that I don't know what to do with my free time now.
So I took my husband out to explore various shops. We both love coffee, and we'd always wanted to go on a cafe tour. George didn't complain about my cafe hopping idea and even seemed to become more and more interested in it.
Hey, let's try this cafe next time,
George said, while glued to the screen watching a TV show featuring cafes. Eventually, he started making coffee himself, and our home became filled with the delicious aroma of coffee brewed by him.
Dad's coffee's really good. Uh-huh. I told you, it's all about the beans.
When our son James came home for a visit, George served him coffee, and James expressed his appreciation while savoring it. James is now 38 years old and has been independent for a long time, occasionally coming home and sharing interesting work stories.
Are you and Dad doing well? No changes?
Yes, we're the same as always.
That's good to hear, but you're getting older, so take care of yourselves. Don't underestimate us just yet. Even at retirement age, we're still going strong. Dad, you really are full of energy. Ha ha ha.
Spending such peaceful and carefree time with my husband and son makes me very happy. Looking back, my husband and I rarely fought, and I don't think our son ever went through a rebellious phase. My husband and I met during our college days. We were in the same department and saw each other often in class. Eventually, he asked me out, and we started dating. Being with him always made me feel calm and truly happy. Our relationship continued even after we both started working, and a few years later, we got married. Our married life was also full of happiness. For the first few years after we got married, we thought we might not be able to have children. But then our son was born. Our newborn son was so cute and looked just like an angel. I remember my husband being overjoyed when he held our child for the first time. Since then, the three of us have lived happily together. Our son grew up to be a kind and good-hearted person. Although my husband and I both worked, and might have made him feel lonely at times, I think he grew up without any real trouble in his teen years.
Mom, Dad, there's something I want to do. I have a favor to ask.
Our son decided on his path early and pursued it with determination. We supported him wholeheartedly. Watching him achieve his dreams and goals was cool, and we felt proud as parents. Even after becoming an adult, he always cared about us, taking us on trips and to fancy restaurants. As we got older and more emotional, my husband and I would cry and thank him, only to be laughed at for being dramatic. Later, our son married a wonderful woman. My husband and I were overjoyed by their marriage.
I have a kind wife who always supports me in my busy work life. That's why I want to work hard to protect our family.
Our daughter-in-law has a lovely smile and a gentle personality, perfect for our ambitious son. The couple continued to visit us regularly, and we always enjoyed our time together. However, my husband recently began having health problems. As our son had warned, we needed to take care of ourselves, so we went to the hospital together. There, we received shocking news from the doctor.
It's terminal cancer. You have about a year left to live.
Both my husband and I were stunned. We had planned to spend lots of leisurely time together as a couple. We even talked about opening a small cafe at our own pace. We despaired at the reality we faced.
I can't believe it. Dad has cancer?
Our son was also deeply shocked by the situation.
We don't have children yet, and I was just thinking about showing you your grandchild soon.
We were heartbroken, but we knew the hardest part was for my husband himself. He was hospitalized and began cancer treatment. How is the treatment going? Is it painful?
I'm fine. I might even beat cancer if I keep going like this, right? Haha.
He's trying to act strong, but the treatment must be incredibly tough. His face has become gaunt, and his body is getting thinner.
Susan, I'm sorry I might leave you behind and die first.
What are you talking about? You still have more than half a year left, according to your doctor. We never know, you might live even longer. We have to keep our hopes up and stay positive.
Yeah, but I just wanted to apologize in advance. I could pass away at any moment now.
Don't say that. My husband seemed to be feeling quite weak mentally.
I see, so Dad is feeling like that.
Our son wanted to do something for his father who was feeling weak.
I want to grant Dad's wish before he's unable to go out anymore.
Yeah, let's ask him about it. Encouraged by our son, I asked my husband indirectly, if you could go out right now, where would you like to go? We probably can't get permission for an overnight stay, but maybe we can go out for a short time.
Oh, I know. There's a hot spring a few hours from here by car.
A hot spring?
There's a cafe nearby that serves delicious coffee.
Oh, really? I couldn't help but smile. My husband really loved coffee and cafes. Let's go to the hot spring and have some delicious coffee. When I said that, my husband looked delighted.
I hope the doctor will give us permission.
Afterward, I asked the doctor if we could get permission for a brief outing. The doctor agreed, saying that my husband's condition was stable for now. So we went on a family trip for the first time in a while. It was only a day trip, but it was wonderful to go out together as a family. Our son drove the car, and the four of us, my husband, our son, and his wife, headed to the hot spring and cafe. The large outdoor bath at the hot spring had a great view, and the weather was perfect, making it an amazing experience. At the cafe, we heard that the men's bath also had a fantastic view and was a wondrous hot spring. We finally had the coffee we'd been looking forward to, and it was so delicious that it moved us.
I'm glad we could all enjoy this delicious coffee together. Thank you so much. I'll do my best in my treatment from now on.
My husband said this to us with a gentle smile. I thought it was good to bring them here when I saw both my son and husband happy. And then, 1 week later, my husband's condition suddenly worsened, and he passed on to the next world. Why did you pass away so soon? I was so sad that I couldn't help it. Even though he had endured such painful cancer treatments and had become well enough to get permission to go out, our son couldn't stop his tears either. We were so down that we were useless, so our daughter-in-law took care of arranging and preparing the funeral for us. I'm really grateful because I think we wouldn't have been able to hold the funeral properly without her. And we were able to send off my husband safely. Many people attended the funeral, and it was clear that my husband was well loved. He often said he wanted to open a cafe with his wife recently. Yes, that's right. He was also very enthusiastic about studying how to brew coffee, the types of beans and roasting. As I talked with the people who attended the funeral, I remembered the days when my husband was happy to brew coffee, and tears welled up again. And then, I wanted to fulfill our dream together with my husband.
Mom, you're going to open a cafe?
After the funeral settled down, my son and his wife visited our house. Yes, I want to make your father's dream come true.
I think it's a great idea. I'll support you with all my strength if there's anything I can do.
Thank you. I don't know the first thing about business, so I'm really grateful for your cooperation. And so I asked my son to come with me, and we went to consult with the local credit union about financing. It was so crowded in the morning. My son and I sat on the sofa with our waiting numbers and waited for our turn. And after about an hour of waiting, we went to the counter.
Welcome, please have a seat.
The bank teller who greeted us sat down and was named Michael.
What can I help you with today?
Well, I'm thinking of opening a cafe soon. I came to talk about financing.
Financing, you say?
As soon as I said that, Michael's face suddenly turned stern.
In order to hear your story in detail, we will also conduct an interview. Can you please wait on the sofa until we're ready? We'll call you when we're ready.
Understood. Although I was worried about why his face had become so stern, I returned to the sofa as I was told and waited with my son for our turn. However, even though we waited and waited, there was no sign of being called. Before we knew it, 3 hours had passed. People who arrived later than us were being called, and we thought it was strange. That bank clerk named Michael is attending to other customers as if he has forgotten about us. I thought I should call out to him. The moment Michael finished with a customer, I hurried over to him. Excuse me, I've been waiting for a while now. When can we have a meeting about the loan?
Are you still here?
Huh? What do you mean?
There's no way we can lend money for a cafe or any shop run by an old person like you, right? You're not even wearing brand name clothes, and you don't look rich at all, do you? It's a waste of time dealing with poor people. I'll help you if I have time left at the end.
Saying so, Michael laughed and made a shooing gesture at us. That's unbelievable. I, who usually live by being kind to others, reached my limit of patience.
What's wrong, Mom?
My son returned from the restroom just as Michael said those things to me. I was so angry that I told my son what had happened. Upon hearing the story, my son said in a loud voice so Michael could hear,
If I withdraw the 1 billion yen I deposited, I wonder, can I shut this place down? What?
Michael looked puzzled at my son's remark.
Sir, if you're going to cause a disturbance, please leave, as it's bothering other customers.
I can't believe the nerve of this Michael to say such a thing to my son. And my son said,
I just moved my business deposit to this bank recently, but I guess that was a mistake. Call the branch manager because I can't talk to you. Stop it. I'll sue you for obstructing business.
Michael refused my son's business and snapped back. It seems even my son had reached his limit of patience.
Then I'll call directly.
My son said so and made a phone call somewhere. Then the branch manager came running out of a back room in the bank.
Mr. Johnson, what happened?
Seeing the manager rush over and speak to my son, Michael's eyes widened in surprise.
Branch manager, what's going on with this bank? This Michael clerk made my mother wait for over 3 hours, calling her a poor person and tried to send her away. What? Michael, what the hell are you doing? Mr. Johnson, could you please come to the reception room? Let me apologize.
We decided to follow the branch manager as it seemed we were causing a disturbance to other customers. When we arrived at the reception room, The branch manager prostrated himself and apologized.
I'm truly sorry about this. Michael just transferred from another bank. We also didn't have a deep relationship with you yet, and our other staff members were too busy to notice. It's fine, manager. I'm not asking you to be treated specially. I just want you to take proper action regarding how he treated my mother and judged her based on her appearance. Of course. Michael, hurry up and apologize. This person is the owner, chef of a famous restaurant. They just opened a new store in this area and deposited 1 billion yen in our branch. Huh?
Told by the branch manager, Michael turned pale and prostrated himself to apologize.
I'm so sorry. Michael, have you always treated customers differently based on your own judgment? If so, you're disqualified as a bank employee, or even someone in the service industry. At the very least, we don't want to do any transactions here anymore. No, I mean... Mr. Johnson, could you please reconsider?
The branch manager pleaded with my son.
Unfortunately, we can't trust this bank as it is. Show your sincerity and then we can talk. If you can't do that, I'll withdraw all of my deposits by the end of this month.
My son said so and took me out of the bank. A week later, the branch manager called my son. According to the conversation, the bank conducted a detailed investigation on Michael and found that he had been turning away customers who came for loans based on his own judgment. Moreover, it was revealed that he had also embezzled the bank's money. Of course, Michael was fired. The branch manager called my son several times to apologize and proposed various favorable terms for my loan. My son felt the manager's sincerity and decided not to withdraw the deposits. Thanks to the manager's proposal, I was able to receive a loan at a very good rate. The preparation for opening my store went smoothly, and I finally opened it. Initially, I had planned to open a coffee shop, but my daughter-in-law had a nutritionist certification, so we decided to open a cafe with healthy and nutritious menus together. Of course, we inherited my husband's passion for coffee and offered delicious coffee as well. My son also supported the store from behind the scenes, and thanks to him, I was able to stock famous coffee beans. The store is thriving, thankfully, and has become popular among female customers for its delicious coffee and food. I don't know how much longer I can work, but I'll do my best to run the cafe for my husband's sake as well. Narrator's thoughts. Do bank employees like this still exist nowadays? It's the worst to blatantly change your attitude depending on the customer. And there's no redemption for embezzling money. I'm glad the protagonist was able to open the store safely. I thought the son was very cool. Please continue to live a fun life, working hard at the store, and maintaining a good family relationship. Thank you for watching until the end. If you like, please subscribe to the channel. See you in the next